All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Startup Huddle February. As you can see, our topic tonight is planning, finding balance, and work ethic. I would like to invite Ms. Marcus Fede to give us our opening. Cynthia, are you there?
Welcome everyone. The recording began. Thank you for joining us on Startup Huddle's first meeting for the year, and I would love to thank each and every one of you for your dedication and your ongoing support. This week's meeting and this month's meeting is on planning, finding balance, and work ethics. We would love to begin with our first speaker as we move into things, and we will have a networking activity in the end so that we can get through our objectives. So welcome to Startup Huddle St. Lucia, and my co-director, Miranda George Affer, is with me here today. So Miranda, take it away.
All right. So it's Natalie John will be presenting after this. So this evening we have Ms. Kamarla Ambrose presenting our first presenter. This evening is Ms. Ambrose, and she is an educator. She is a manager, project manager, a dynamic individual who loves education and educating others. And I feel it's fitting that she is educating us tonight on planning and management. Ms. Ambrose, welcome.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yes, we
Loud
can.
and clear?
Yes, loud and clear.
All right, great. So, hi, my name is Kamarla Ambrose. I am from St. Lucia, from Vieux to be exact. And I have been a teacher for the last 15 years until late last year. I moved into the post of a program manager with a nonprofit organization. All right. I've been involved in the community for a while. So when Miss Miranda, who I met just last year, and I'm like, it's like we've been in that universe for so long, and she did ask me to make these presentations. I'm like, yes, I would love to support, to share whatever knowledge that I have, and I also see it as a learning experience for me. All right. So yes, I going to be presenting on, let's give me 1 second. Oh gosh, every time you're about to move, something keeps holding you back, but that's life. So let me just, all right. So my presentation today is on planning, finding balance, and work ethics. All right. I find it very fitting, especially as a mother and a young professional, that finding the balance, plan, and staying smart, work as well, being an online student. I think I do have the secrets to success. Right? So before we start, I just want to ask you, if you could choose one superpower to help you succeed in your business or through life, what would that superpower be? And now my presentation is more of an interactive one. So I will ask questions. I will ask for your feedback. So yes, let's engage. And it's only 5 minutes, so we have to be very brief and straight to the point. What superpower do you possess, and you think that this is what has helped you to succeed, this is what has helped you to stay on top of your game? For me, my superpower is my faith. I believe that everything that I want to do, I could do it. So I'm not always on top of my work. That is my school. Maybe I'm not always on time, but I always believe that I will always get it done. I always have that faith in me that, Kamarla, you're going to get it done. It can be the last minute, but you will pull through. So what is your superpower? What do you have? And I'm a past teacher, so I'm going to call you if you do not answer.
For me, I would say my drive. My
Your
drive
drive.
to be successful.
Right. Very good. Very good. And that is your superpower. So you lead on to that. Very good. Anybody else? What about you, Dave? Mr. Dave? I hope I'm calling you by your first name is not a
Yeah,
problem.
you're right. My name is Dave.
All
I'm
right.
still searching for that superpower now, so I don't know what it is yet because I am in
All
the
right.
incipient stage of building my business, so I have not done it. So maybe after this session, I can figure out what
Right.
my superpower is and go with.
But you do have one, because for you to maybe be doing everything else and now decide to set up a business, you do have a superpower. So maybe you just need some time to reflect and say, okay, what is my superpower? And superpowers that young entrepreneurs have, they plan well. They have a clear vision as to what they want to do, what they want to achieve, whether it be how much profit you want to make. But and if that's your drive, that is perfectly fine, right? So a lot of young entrepreneurs do have that superpower of planning. Another thing is balance. Sometimes when we do decide to start a business, we're married, we have our families, we may be working, have another job, we maybe have friends, our friend circle. So we do know how to balance. And another superpower is work ethics. It's only because that we're able to be honest, be true to an organization, that we're like, but I could do that for myself. I could open an organization and be as determined, on time, honest, accurate. I could do that for myself. So all in all, we do have that superpower that we need to lean on. And especially when it comes to the Caribbean, entrepreneurs in the Caribbean. From young, we already selling jam, selling ice lolly, or we have a pencil in school and we tell our little friend, you want to borrow my pencil, 25 cents, right? All of these are our superpowers because we see how we're able to maybe find something innovative, something creative, and make it our own, right? So our superpower, we use, it's not necessarily something that we have to we have to think deep about. Our superpower is right there. Planning, planning for success. What's the first thing you do when you're starting a project? Question out there. What is the first thing that you do when you're starting a project? So instead of saying maybe I want to start a food business, what do you say? What is the first thing that comes to your head if that is your goal? What do you do? What is the first step?
I guess you'll have to do some market research. Some
Definitely,
research.
that is important, market research, because you cannot just start a business that nobody wants. If you do not know what the your target market is and what they want, then your business will not be fruitful. You have to investigate. You may be sitting one day, or you may be on a bus, and you're like, that spot. or that community is missing something, or you may be at your home and every time you need to rush to Beaufort or Castries to buy your groceries, say, you see me, I'll open a little supermarket at my house because you notice the need. So even before you come up with a project, you do brainstorm and think about, how am I going to start the project? Why am I, and that's very important, the why do I have to do this project? Will this project be successful? And it's very important that when we are planning how we're going to do our project, that we plan smartly. How many of you have heard of the SMART goals? That your goals must be achievable. In starting your business, you cannot just go and say, I want to sell 50,000 plates of food in the community. Your community only have 50 people. How are you going to sell 50,000 plates of food? Your area, and if you look, and if you go to a little further, your next door neighbor, that is the next community, cannot even cover 50,000 people. So how are you going to have sell 50,000 plates of food? So your goals must be smart in that they are achievable. You can measure them, that you say, hey, I have achieved that goal. I feel good, right? Your goal must be realistic. Don't go and make all the balloons and the candy and the rainbows and the unicorns. And then at the end of the day, these things they're not achievable. And at the end, you feel sad, you feel burdened, you've invested so much money into the organization, and you aiming for unicorns. You have to be realistic. This is what my budget is. This is what I'm putting into my business. This is what I want to achieve. So let me work towards achieving that. And even with planning, we must ensure that we plan well. For example, you can use different tools. I just learned about Asana, which is a planning tool that you use, especially when you're dealing with projects and planning. You put your goals, you put your task into these goals. Or some people still journal, like me. Even if I use Asana, which is an app online, I still write in a book every day as to what I have to do, and I tick as I go along. This is what I have to do. This is what I want to achieve by the end of the day, by the end of the week. And another thing that is important in planning is your plan B. What is your plan B? We all want to achieve our plan A, but I always say, just in case plan A doesn't work, we better have a plan B, especially with the way our markets are so fragile. Having a plan B is very important. It will be like your what if, and it will not be a total fail. If you have no plan, it means that from A you fall straight down. But if you have that plan B, it will serve as a support mechanism, and you will feel like, hey, maybe I can try this, I can do it another way, and so on. All right, any questions? Am I doing well? Hello? Yes?
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty good, pretty good.
Yes,
Keep it
All
up.
no
right.
questions for me.
Okay. So next slide. My computer. Oh, so I just did that. The planning, ensuring that you have a plan B, your goals are smart. And the next superpower is balance. And balance is where you stay on, you're not necessarily on top of your game, but you're able to find your peace. And my question to you is, what is your go-to activity when you need to recharge? What do you do? Some people, they go to activities to hustle. They never stop hustling. Like I have this friend who's a taxi driver, and he tell me when he feels stress, he goes to work more frequently because that's the time he networks, he speaks to his guests, he's on the route, he goes down to Soufre, he's all over the place. So some people, their balance or their recharge activity may just be to work harder. What is your balance activity? What do you do to recharge? As for me, my balance is sleep. I love to sleep. As long as I feel stressed, I cannot do it. I need a break, shut down, and sleep. Anybody? What is your
Mine,
balance? Mm-hmm.
you can hear me? You can hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes. So mine is meditation and family time.
Meditation. Mm-hmm. Nice.
Mine
Nice.
is exercise.
Exercise. Yes. Yes. Very good. And sometimes our others may be baking a cake, watching Netflix, maybe on our phone. You know, sometimes you scroll on your phone and the thing just stick you. I have something saying the thing just stick me on Facebook. By the time you check 3 hours into it, you're like, oh shit, I spent 3 hours on Facebook. But that is the way I sometimes find balance, right? So as I said, I have a son, and my balance, I do exercise. So I love to go walking. So I walk up to Mola Chic. I walk up on the beach. I like my time with my son. We go out a lot. I do a lot of outdoor activities with him. And also we do a lot of like little activities, maybe go painting, maybe just walk through the community. I'm from Viewport, I'm born and raised in Viewport. So sometimes I bring in all the little places in Viewport, you know, just so that it brings back a little of my childhood, and I teach him something that I love, something, you know, that maybe he can carry with him. So your balance is where you find peace, because we cannot just keep planning or doing work and then at the end of the day we do not find our us time. So we definitely need to find time to relax. It can be maybe drinking a cup of tea in the balcony after work, going for a bath, or playing football, simple things. Because at the end of the day, balance prevents burnout, right? It gives us that opportunity to think straight. It helps us to forget about the distractions, and then that light bulb idea may come when we recharge. It makes no sense for us to go on, go on, go on, and then it's not working. That means we're doing something wrong. And it's only when we stop, we recharge, then we'll be able to gain our focus. All right, so that is very important. Next slide. Right, so the third superpower we have is work ethics. If you had an important deadline, but you're feeling lazy, what would you do? You had an important, maybe you have an assignment, you maybe have to go and pay the bank, you make your loan deposit, you maybe have to pay your life insurance, and you know, hey, I don't want to miss out on my life insurance. What would you do if you have that important deadline, but you're feeling lazy? What would you do?
Push through regardless.
Push through regardless. Okay.
For me,
Anybody else?
I'm tired, meaning exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
I would rest for 1 hour and
Mm-hmm.
then go into it, because I know when I rest for an hour and I go into it, I'm giving it my all.
Right, right. Same here. Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Anybody? Now again, it is what works for you. Like I said, there's some individuals, their whole system or the way that it's set up is just to work. For others, they need that time out to stop. To stop, they realize that they're tired, they're not able to do it. All they need is some time out. Like, you know, sometimes you tell your son or your child, your daughter, hey, you need a timeout. You need a timeout, because they keep on going, 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 and they've not realized that maybe they're thirsty, maybe they're tired, maybe their clothes is dirty, simple things. And it's only when you take that break from the reality, then you realize that, hey, I needed that break. When it comes to work ethics, we must ensure that we're very consistent. And I want to stress on that, because a lot of the times we want to be consistent in one aspect of our lives and then not the other. So, for example, we may be employed with an organization and have our own business. We put 100 in our own business, right? We do everything for our own business, which is wonderful. There's nothing wrong with that, because I mean, that's your blood and your sweat. But then when you get to work, you're tired, you cannot do the organization's work, or you never on time. This is not work ethics, because the same energy you put into that side hustle, that same energy you must put into your work, because they remember somebody is paying you, and they also too feel like that business is their baby. So we must ensure that we are balanced. We balance in our own organization, in our own business. So we have to be accountable and put that effort into another organization. Integrity, keeping your promises to your clients or yourself. You must ensure that if you tell your customer that it is the cake, for example, if you're baking cake, it is cooked, it is not too sweet like the client asked for it, you cannot give the individual, you know the cake is not cooked fully all the way, but you still ice it nicely and thinking that the individual will not mind or they will not see. That is being dishonest. You have to ensure that the promise you sell and the money you receive is what you give out to your customers. And at the end of the day, it reflects on you. Because if that cake or whatever product that you put out is not good, then that customer will not come back, right? And also, you have to ensure continuous learning, stay curious and adaptable. That is very important, especially again with the type of environment that we have. We live in the Caribbean. We're exposed to so many elements, whether it be weather elements, whether it be political elements, but because we are so fragile and change all the time, our organizations must reflect that. We must ensure that we're able to adapt in any situation. We're able to maybe, even if we're broken during a season, but we're able to recover. And we could get that right through our own Julian Alfred. She did not stop. There was a point in time where maybe she wasn't. She said that she was at the end of it, but she kept on pushing and she kept on learning. When she went to Jamaica, when she went to Texas, she listened to her coach, and obviously that showed when she won the gold medal. So we have to ensure that we're very consistent. We carry our promises to our customers and to ourselves, because remember what we're selling ourselves, and that we always try to learn, stay on top of the game and be adaptable. All right. So my question to you, how do you plan on integrating and strengthening these superpower this week? Your superpower. How do you plan on integrating it and strengthening it? What do you plan to do? I said I'm a teacher, so I will definitely look at the
Well,
participants.
for me, I'll
Mhm.
I'll attempt to do some, introspection and figure out my superpower, and thereafter work on developing it.
Yes, very good. And that's very important that we look at within, we see our weaknesses, we strengthen our strengths, because it's always good to strengthen our strengths and then make the necessary changes. And that is how we learn. When we look at our weaknesses, our shortcomings, we work on it. That is how we learn. Very good, Dave, sorry. Anybody else?
We give
Mhm.
ourselves some time to plan in advance so that
Yes.
if there is room for any error, we can correct it.
Very good. All right. That is so true. And when you plan, you're able to keep track of your success and your shortcomings. And again, you work on it. All right. Very good. I don't think that maybe the calendar and time was made accidentally. I think that it serves a purpose where we plan and we stay ahead. Just like when you go to the doctor, you plan, hey, I want to go to the doctor, I want to go to the dentist, we plan in all of that. We also have to plan our day, the goals that we want to achieve. All right. So my takeaways for you, today and for the rest of the week, I hope you carried through, is that success isn't just about working hard, it's about working smart, staying balanced, and being consistent, right? And remember, we say smart is making sure that your goals are measurable, achievable, realistic, right? Staying balanced, ensuring that you find time to stop, to reflect, you do something that will help you think thoroughly and think thoroughly and maybe deep, right? And being consistent means that small daily wins lead to big achievements. So the little wins that we get, we say yes, yes. These are the little wins that will bring the big achievements. All right, so thank you so much. And I do hope that my presentation was helpful and you carry through with some of the suggestions and ideas that I shared with you. All right. Thank you.
One question before you leave. I joined in a bit late. Can I get a email with the whole slideshow, please?
Okay, sure. Miss Miranda,
Mm,
is that okay?
Okay, so
I'm not
yes, we'll
sure.
be share. We'll share the presentation with you. Although most of the stuff that Miss Ambrose spoke about, but we will be posting our recording this evening on YouTube, so that will be available as well. So you can go back and
okay.
listen to. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Miss Ambrose. Are there any more questions for Miss Ambrose? Questions on how
No
does
question
she?
from me.
Okay. All right. No questions? So once again, thank you, Miss Ambrose, for being here. And your presentation was awesome because no one has any questions. It was interactive. And we thank you for being here this evening to actually give us some tips on how to be smart in our work ethics and staying balanced and being consistent and all of these things. So thank you so much, Miss Ambrose. Um, right now, I'm going to introduce our next speaker. So give me 1 second. Let me just pull up her presentation and then, all right. So our next presenter is none other than Miss Natalie John. And Miss Natalie John is the CEO of Dreamy Weddings, a leader in Caribbean destination wedding. Her business operates in 13 countries, and she's the founder of Caribbean Wedding and Events Professionals, or CWEP. She has 24 years of experience, and she will be sharing invaluable insights on planning, finding balance, and work ethics. So, Ms. John, thank you for being
Hi.
here this evening, and I look forward to your presentation.
Thank you, Miranda. And thank you, Startup Huddle St. Lucia, for allowing me this opportunity this evening. And to Kamarla, while you were doing your presentation, I couldn't say much because I'm like, oh my God, yeah, I'm that person. And so So it's interesting just listening to, other persons present. But this evening, I will share part of my journey and try to make it as relatable as possible so that you could see a real life example in terms of planning to be able to have started Dreamy Weddings 25 years ago. And before we started, I was just laughing with someone on the call who, when I started it, my mom thought, what are you doing? And 25 years later, I think I knew what I was doing to be here with you. Finding balance is so critical because when you start a business, you really need to give it your all to be able to succeed. And especially now, where I see businesses depend on the one that you get into, there are so many low hanging fruits. By that, I mean, you person see you and you start, and they're like, oh, that's a good idea. Let me start too. And then by the time you know it, there are so many people within the industry, and you trying your best to make sure that you are able to balance your books and so forth and work hard. But then you sort of sometimes forget your own self and that you need to find balance and know that it cannot be all work. And then at the same time, ensuring that you have good work ethic to ensure that not just yourself, but it becomes something that every day you have to do with your team. And as you grow, from whether it be growth means that you have part-timers, full-timers, or even members of your family or friends that are helping you, you have to ensure that everybody that is on your team know what you stand for and what your brand stands for, so that anyone that they come into contact with in terms of your customer base or just your other stakeholders, that they're actually giving them your values, your vision. So with that, I just want to again reintroduce myself, Natalie John, having started Dreamy Weddings. Then 10 years ago, I started Dreamy Floral and Decor Bar in St. Kitts, which is a floral design and event planning and management company. And then 1 year ago, I started Dreamy Florals in St. Lucia. And so building a business from the ground up is not always easy. In fact, when I started, of course, I struggled. I spent useless money. I read books. I did different things. But the one thing that I did do was plan. And that's super important. You might be good at something, whatever, you're baking cakes, you're doing balloons, you write well, whatever it is. Once you think that you want to put it into a business, you have to be ready to sit down and plan it, because success is only built on what I call a solid strategy, a solid foundation. Finding the balance, as I said, it's not always easy. For me, I think if you are lucky enough to find a job where you are able to enjoy, it becomes love. And so in that labor of love, you keep laboring. And so you have to be able to ensure that you find that time. And then, as I said, work ethic, integrity is key in that. And so you have to ensure that even at times when you may have a customer who thinks that they have fooled you, to maintain your reputation, to maintain your brand, sometimes you may have to, take a loss just to make sure that you keep your good name. So as we go into planning, what is that? For me, that blueprint. I needed a clear strategy. Started Dreamy really by, I would say, accident, in terms of, somebody reached out and they wanted to do a wedding in St. Lucia, and I thought I could have helped. Long story, we did it, and then we did it successful. And I say we because at the time it was really myself, my mom helped me, so my family base. And then I ventured into another destination, which was St. Kitts, where I was living at the time. And I felt, well, if I did it successfully in St. Lucia and where I'm at in St. Kitts, I'm physically there, then why not? And then an opportunity came via a cruise line who wanted to look for a partner in 5 Caribbean destinations. And so again, having that faith and that drive, I felt, well, if I was in St. Kitts and I managed to do it in St. Lucia, which I wasn't there, then it's a piece of cake to be able to do it in those other destinations which I had not been into. And of course, that meant having some sort of tenacity, having that faith that it will work out. It was not easy, but through everything else, you were able to do 5 islands, and then you just felt, okay, we're on a roll, let's continue. And so start looking at the bigger tourism market and which are the islands that are pro weddings, which are the islands that are huge in tourism. And that's how we eventually grew to 13 destinations. And the drive early on, so you really have to also capitalize on your early growth, because that's the time that you are energized and you want to do stuff. And as you start to grow and you get employees, and then there's competition in the market and so forth, your growth is going to slow down. So you need to make sure that you give yourself set targets that you could try to achieve. As you grow, you need to be able, no matter even if you're small, you need to ensure that you put proper systems in place. And by systems, I mean putting standard SOPs, so that as you have new team members come on board, it's easy. So you're not putting a lot of pressure back on yourself by having to go back and train and train. A lot of times we say what we do, but you literally have to write it down. And I would even say now that you have so many AI tools, it's a lot easier now to be able to talk to them and to be able to help you to do that. So no longer when I was doing mine that I didn't know and I had to go on the internet or read books and get it done, you now have tools that you could use to make those things happen. Then coming from planning, you look at the balance part of things. And I know I only have 5 minutes. I know maybe you may ask questions. So anything that you think I miss, just put a note and I will address them in the questions part. That for me is still a work in progress after 25 years, I will tell you that. Why? Because in the Caribbean, a lot of times we rush slowly. So we go to government departments, we are frustrated, we go somewhere else, somebody's on their phone, and then we have to wait and so forth. And so that in our society continues, but you have to decide that that is not what I want. And so you have to make sure that you push for what it is you want. And so sometimes finding that balance can be difficult, because if you want to be at an international level, you may have, the scale will probably have to be tipped a bit in terms of a lot more work and less of a rest. But as you grow and you build your teams, the scale can definitely come back into a balance. So you need to be able to focus on working smart. And again, please take that. Processes are going to help you in terms of working smarter. You need to be able to enjoy an active lifestyle. So you have to find something that brings you, what I say, brings you joy, whether that is gardening, whether that is sitting down with your kid on an afternoon after school doing homework or something of that nature, plotting, watching some TV. But in that, you have to be able to find some sense of time just for yourself. And in those calm moments, that's the time that you find you get re-energized, and you're able to get that calm to give you that push to go forward. Kamarla said earlier, sleep. Sleep is extremely vital. So in whatever you do, you need to be able to ensure that you do try and get that 8 hours of sleep. You need to ensure that you also do get your vitamins in, So you do not wait until, we at a point, especially for us in those parts, we're prone to diabetes, heart disease, and so forth. And so many of those things that if we were to just take that balance and take a little time for us, we would be able to prevent a lot of those issues. The work ethic. One of the things for me, being able to have stores, especially physical locations for our floral shop, the key is trust. So a lot of persons come and they say, but you in St. Lucia, but your office, did you close your St. Kitts? No. You in St. Kitts, you went into St. Lucia, how? You need to be able to know that trust is important, that you've got to be able to trust someone on your team. You have to know when is the right time to be able to bring your people in, but you have to be able to trust them. Allow them to be able to make mistakes. You have to also be able to ensure that you listen carefully so that you could actually then guide. Integrity, having discipline, right? Having the resilience, because as I said earlier, you will have challenges within your own team sometimes, outside forces as well. But you've got to be able to have those things to be able to help you, because these are the things that you actually need to have longevity in business. You have to be able to deliver on the promises that you say to your clients, even if sometimes that could also be at a loss to you. But your good name, as I said earlier, has to be something that you want to be able to lead with. And in closing, I think 3 things that I would like to share. Keep dreaming. You need to dream big. You need to dream so that your plan is even bigger. Because if you are able to do that, then it means that you're building for growth. You've got to work smart. We normally say work hard, but I say work smart. Work smart because now in our era, we have AI. We have tools, there's a software, there's an app for a lot of things that we do. So take the manual processes and make them digital. Success can be very lonely because you're now moving from the field with everybody and you're now taking leaps and bounds ahead. But as many people that you could carry along with you on the journey, do that. And I say that to say, have an open mind. So yes, you may have somebody who's working with you, but they're very good at something else. You can encourage them to also follow their dreams and their goals while they are also assisting you with developing yours. And so sometimes it just takes a different mindset, but the more persons that you are able to have at your level, at your growth stage from an entrepreneurial journey, it certainly helps you in terms of sometimes having conversation, having somebody else who could think along you, who have some of the challenges that you have had as well, and to be able to experience those. I think these things have worked for me as well. And so with that, I think I've come to the end of my 5 minutes. I think I went a little over my 5 minutes.
Thank you so much, Natalie. We actually have 20 minutes for questions. So you have enough time. You had enough time. Does anyone have any questions for Ms. John?
I have a question. Ms. John, how or when do you know when to take that leap from, I guess, the safe zone in a job and then your own business? Given
Before you,
especially sometimes it might be difficult to get startup loans, finances, or even someone to partner with.
Okay, Lana, you were saying something?
no, I was about to say I had the same question.
Okay, so I think one, you have to be ready in the sense that inner voice, that inner faith, right? To know that you are not going to fail yourself, because there are days that you may not necessarily make the pay that you are actually making right now. But you have to have that belief, and of course that plan that you would have done. You would have done a business plan to show where and how you're going to get that sort of income. You could probably, if your job allows it, you could probably start it while you also working. So you actually get to test it as well. You need to also build. So as you are working, you need to start that savings for that small business, because of course the bank is going to give you a loan for a car before they give you a loan for your business. But if you could start the business from even your funds, or sometimes maybe again family support or friend support, but if you even get it from those things, always put those things in writing, because what happens again, as I said, success is lonely. So somebody may probably not really believe, but say, okay, you know what? Okay, Dave, you need 5,000, I'll give you the $5,000. No agreement. But then they realize Dave is sitting on a gold mine. And then now you have problems because they think there's ownership, because they loaned you that 5,000. You have nothing to say that's a loan. They can come up and say, well, I invested in your business and so forth. So put those things in writing very early. But I say, if you could start it while you're on the job, because for me, I started Dreamy while I was on my job. So what I would do is when I left work at 4, I would go home and spend all my evening into night. And I repeated that for a while. So I started Dreamy in 1999. And then in 2005, I left my job. I was at the central bank at the time, of course, making nice money. But I felt I could have made nicer money out there. And I took a risk on myself. People thought I was crazy to do so because, you're leaving that kind to do weddings. And at the time, weddings was fairly new. But I had done my research. I had gone out to see what's out there in the international wedding market. By that time, I had already had maybe about 3 or 4 persons employed. So I knew I could have gone ahead, because if I was now giving employment to persons, if I was working hard, I could do more. So I'm not sure, Dave and Lana, if that answered your question, but you're free to ask me more.
No, you hit the nail right on the head for me. You gave it more perspective, better perspective on how to navigate going forward. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Any more questions
Lana?
from our audience?
So you did mention earlier that you trust your team and you would allow them to make mistakes. Wouldn't the mistakes they do like have an impact on your business?
Yeah.
Like how would you like correct a mistake? For example, let's say they had to deliver flowers and they missed that delivery, especially okay for a busy time like Valentine's Day. Like,
Okay.
what if they missed a delivery? How would you make up for that, your team mistake? And it's a reflection of your business. It's a reflection of you.
First and foremost, we are all humans. We are not robots, right? And so mistakes will happen. But it's how you recover from those mistakes that matter. So trust. So I say to my team all the time, what I want to know is your thought process behind the decision that you made. If you had no thought process at all, then we have a serious problem. But if you can show me why you did something, then I now, as the experienced person, can now teach you why that decision was wrong. So that's the first thing in terms of trusting my team. I tell my team all the time, do not come to me with problems. Come to me with a solution. And no, I don't care, no matter how you think your solution is not good or it's dumb or what have you, I want to know how you came up with that solution, because that's the only way I could help you. And so you mentioned Valentine's. And of course, Valentine's is our busiest day on our floral business in the year. And we try to minimize as much as possible the errors, but they will happen. And so we had one huge one in St. Kitts this week. So with no names mentioned, I met a very important client at a function 3 days prior to Valentine's. Exchanged cards, was really excited about that prospect, because that's a prospect that would be giving us new business. We had a late order for that same client. It was a last minute order. It came in late. Okay. The driver, so our team did everything they were supposed to do. The driver went out and the driver could not get the individual. Call the individual. Because of a language barrier, the driver was getting incensed. And then the person was there with his wife. So he didn't want to say because it's a surprise, right? When the driver got to actually do the delivery, they exchanged words. And the driver's words were not nice words. And so the person, of course, the client complained, as they rightfully should have. And then, of course, I get a call. And so everybody, my core team did everything right. And we have a nice little competition between the St. Lucia store and the St. Kitts store. But that was gut-wrenching, because this is something I've been working on, and to finally get it, I meet the person, right? We exchange cards, and that person's first impression of our team is an F. And when I say F, I use F. It's a real F. And so how do I now build back? Of course, what did I do? Because it was the weekend, I didn't want to call the client because we're not friends. It's a new contact I've made. So I waited until Monday to send an email to the client. The client responded, not directly, but they responded through their PA. So I know that they're still pissed off at the situation. I had a chat with my team and say, yes, Valentine's Day is a busy day for us. The driver was not one of our normal drivers because of the volume, we have to bring people in. So what we did then is, okay, guys, this is what we're going to do to ensure that that error does not happen again. I'm going to hope that I could meet that client again in another setting and see how I could now build that relationship all over again, but explain to the team. And I don't keep anything to myself. I always share with my team. So that gut-wrenching moment is not shared with me alone, but it's also shared with my entire team. And then we now have to take it to rebuild. Of course, that driver could never work for us again, because you can't do that. The same thing we spoke about earlier in terms of everybody on the team has to know your standards. And sometimes when you bring in a part-time person in that rush of things, we missed that step to ensure that everybody on the team was on the same page. I saw somebody raise their hand.
Yes, feed culture. Food culture.
It was an accident, Iskato. It was an accidental raise of hand, but I was actually thinking of a question to ask you. So, as your business is really not considered like an essential business, whereas it's not a need like for people to book a wedding planner or a florist. So, like let's say in times of the pandemic, how would you say you would push your business? Because my business is not essential as well, so I'm just looking for tips
But you know
on
what?
how to.
You might be surprised because, and it's nice that you brought up the COVID, right? So of course, weddings were not essential, and even if weddings, you could not have come into the country. So our wedding business was dead in the water. Our floral business, we thought was a luxury item. I mean, the flowers are not food. So from our thought process, that business would have gone too. However, Mother's Day was coming up. So we wrote to the government asking for special permission for us to open because we felt, okay, emotions, with everything people are going through, at least allow us to just open to sell a few flowers for Mother's Day so we could celebrate, and just say thank you and so forth. But guess what? We never closed after Mother's Day. Never closed. And so while we thought our business was not an essential business, people felt our business was an essential business because people now felt with everything that's going on with COVID, they want to celebrate. They want flowers. They want to feel good. They don't want to remain in gloom and doom. So sometimes you may have a thought of what your business is or isn't, but your clientele will probably tell you something totally different.
Thank you. It's true. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions? I love the question. Um, I'd like to just step in and say that remember this is a huddle. Look at it as from the perspective that any problems that you're going through in your business and you think that Ms. John may be able to answer, it may not seem relevant right now, but if you're thinking of something that she can answer as someone who's experienced with so many years under her belt, you could throw in the question because it's a huddle. It's a time to get solutions for your business that you may not be able to get anywhere else. So you have the expertise of Miss John, you have the expertise of our team, Mrs. Fede is right, who's here, and I'm here as well as a tech expert as well. So we have other persons on here who may be able to answer. So we're going to do this session where you could throw in any question and we're going to answer. So this is like a panel discussion. So this is the final session for tonight. And let's go. Let's see what you have.
Yes, guys, I just wanted to say that this was very engaging. Natalie, your insights always blow me away because it makes me get back to the level where I felt, how I got my passion to leave the 9 to 5. Although in my, I would say my professional journey, starting from my first job at KM2, I kept growing until I got to the corporate level that gave me the freedom to be at home. And I was like, but yeah, you home, but you still have somebody to answer to. And somebody still says, but you could have been here earlier. But the goal is not the money, the goal is the freedom. And when you speak, it sparks it back. Like if you ever lost that zeal, there's somebody there with electrifying, And Miranda does me that too. She has me on my toes. Like when Miranda calls me, it's like electrifying. And I think that we need this in our huddle. And I'm so happy, Natalie, that you agreed to be here with us as our mom figure, mentor, sister, and helping us through this because we are all youth entrepreneurs and you're an industry expert doing this. And I'm happy that you're able to give us the building blocks we need and the guidance, knowing that there's other solutions that want to see us aspire and get to these levels. And I pray, God, that we're the huddle that wins the free ticket flights to GEC 2025 to meet those $1 million investors come in June. And I would love that you're there with us at Startup Huddle because let me tell you, having strong figures, I believe that we all need this. And I really think your presentation blew me away.
Thank you. I mean, it was very short, but I just tried to put it into. But no, for me, I've always been about sharing. You can't do this alone. No man is an island. And coming back home to one of the things that I've always said is that we've got to be able to build community. And that was one of the reasons why I formed CWeb. Of course, it's a nonprofit, so it takes a lot out of you to do on your own. But there is community in competition. And I will share I'll share again just quickly, whereby this weekend you had Valentine's, right? But by Wednesday, we had run out of flowers. We were sold out. And so one of our other florists, they compete with us in the market, but I called them because I have relationships with everybody. And I said, we are out of roses. What do you have? Can you loan us any? We will buy. It doesn't matter. Because we have a relationship where we do not buy from each other. We loan flowers. So anytime for the year, if they're missing a color or what have you, they'll call and say, hey, you have white flowers? Yes, we have this, this, and this. They'll come, and whenever they get their fresh stock, they will then bring back for us. And they did that. They said, okay, they could loan me. I'm like, how many? I'm like, as much as you can give. And they loaned us 150 red roses on Thursday. And so you have to be able to know that you could compete. But it doesn't mean because you're competing, it means you're enemies. And if there's one thing I'd like to bring back home is that you need to be able to ensure that you build community in the competition.
Very true, very true. And guys, the floor is open for questions and networking. Miss John will drop her number because there's so many events and activities you want to host, but sometimes you're like, what should I do? Where should I go? And guidance. These are the type of people you want that can really tell you, well, you're a startup, and they really understand, like, boy, if you're a startup, you get $5,000 for a grant, you want to do a launch. It will be a challenge to say you want some decoration or interior decor person to come and do the whole shebang, especially if you're looking at just your grants. So it's very insightful to say that there is collaborative leadership, and in business, that if your business could complement another's, it doesn't mean that your launch could just be all about your business, but your partners who are there with you. And as you can see, Startup Huddle is all about partnerships. So each one to help one, and don't be afraid to reach out to each other as a support system. It's an ecosystem where all of us would grow together. I'm a finalist in Wildlife, and I could tell you, it's amazing how the Spanish and the Syrians said they're gonna come together no matter what. And while I'm on the call and I'm in the group, I'm the Black person, because I understood that I'm not in their demographic, but they're willing to bring me in because it's shared values, and they're giving you a blueprint that although she's launching her thing, and if you're there supporting the mission, everybody's brand goes through, because she cannot do the marketing by herself. She cannot be the PR. She cannot design, but she's the visionary. She's going to pay the money, but everybody else, she's going to carry their business into that magazine with 16 pages. So I'm telling you, I'm going to open that to my people if this is going to arrive at every business place in America. And this is what Startup Huddle and Wildlife does. They connect us. We find shared values. You could go and tell Cherokee today you want to come and invest in Baywalk. He's going to say no. But you need to build the Cherokee relationships with the youth side, because he's already up there. He already formed those partnerships within his ranking of his age range, that it might be tough to hear a youth telling him that, but there are many others like him. We have them right here in our group, in our midst, that we can do it too. And I believe that if we look at each other as we can tick the entrepreneurship beyond, like our dreams can happen. Look at Bay Gardens today. Look at all these hotel chains. You think that these people don't talk? There's an association for hoteliers. So Startup Huddle is like your association for general entrepreneurship. So each member should have a platform on the Gen page that if I need to pull your business up, I can get you there. Because the first thing I did was ensure that I can pull anybody's profile under St. Lucia. So imagine you in St. Lucia and I'm telling them, just go on the Gen page and your business not listed. Can you imagine how hard it is? Because they're looking at it on a global level. How do we help and invest into your market from our standpoint? And what they relate to is their customs on how they do business. So they look at your approach, where you're publicized, and how you present the business. It could have just been an idea. It's okay. You could have a gen profile. Because sometimes people looking for ideas. An idea is what God had before He made the earth. So it will take an idea for the investor to invest in you. So Startup Huddle isn't just for the startups, but for the visionaries who have ideas. Because sometimes you might have the idea and Miranda is the investor tomorrow. Natalie, sometimes a personal idea only costs $1,000 US. I've
True.
heard many ideas from the youth. My
Yeah.
daughter's first investment was 20 US. What was her profit? 600 EC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We fix
So
it. Another question.
Yeah, we
go
fixed
ahead.
another question.
Yes, good night. I'm interested in how you handle the transition from being a local business to a regional business.
Natalie, that's for you, huh?
Yeah. When you say give me some more, when you say handle it, meaning
Well, just in terms of scaling so that your operations are on multiple islands, sourcing the right people, monitoring activities, those along those lines.
okay, so essentially, as I had said earlier, how I broke it down is if I did it in one space, and that's very simplistic, but that is, I am extremely simplistic, right? Um, I did it in one space, then the exact same thing I can do in another location. Is that simple? So for example, I'll use Dreamy Florals. We've been around for 10 years this year in St. Kitts. So you needed staffing, sourcing of your flowers, you need a storefront, um, you need the tools to keep your flowers chilled and so forth. So all these things we did in St. Kitts. Choosing St. Lucia was easy in that I'm originally from St. Lucia. I was coming back home, and so let's look at that as an option. Second, we are coming into an already crowded area because there were other florists on the island and doing well. So I looked at our product vis-a-vis what they offered, and I realized there was an opportunity for distinction. Um, I also use social media quite a bit. So a lot of people from St. Lucia will always, messaging and saying, we like that. I don't see that at home. When are you gonna come and so forth. And so once we made that determination, okay, we'll go through the team. So I literally had my St. Kitts team to do the groundwork in terms of going to the different ministries to get the business license, to do the incorporation. So every single thing that we had done in St. Kitts to take, and so they're the ones. So literally two young people under the age of 30 were the ones from my team who went to St. Lucia and did all the necessary groundwork, of course, with my guidance. So we had a strategic overview as to what are the areas that we had to do. And then in terms of getting the employees, putting ads out, and then conducting interviews and starting. So those persons that we started with, some of them are with us, some of them aren't. And the other thing too, you have to be able to be brave enough to know that if the person is not right for you, you need to be able to let them go and get until you get the right team. And I think now we actually have the right team in our St. Lucia, office. We're now looking at another island within the OECS to go into, because again, once you've done it one time, it's just a matter of replicating. And so when we did St. Lucia, the goal was, guys, okay, we're going into a new market, same way we have Dreamy Weddings in 13. So we're using that as a guide. This is going to be our franchise model. So we need to get it right. We need to put our systems in place. So if we get an opportunity to go to another destination, then we know exactly what we're going to do. And so that's how we did it.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. So we have come to our mark for this evening. Is there any more questions? I'm going to take one last question and then we're going to close. Okay, so it was a great discussion this evening. I feel very enlightened. I've learned a lot from you, Miss John. Miss Ambrose isn't here right now; she dropped off. We learned a lot from Miss Ambrose as well, from her background in teaching and management in general. I'd like to thank everyone for being here and for making this huddle successful. I hope all of what we've heard this evening, we could go back to the drawing board. Remember that in business, you have to learn to pivot. And sometimes when something isn't working, you have to go back to the drawing board. And if it's planning and work ethics and strategy that you have to work on, don't be afraid to go back to the drawing board. And it's very important that you don't give up because a lot of the times, a lot of small businesses fail. And the reason for this failure is because they don't know that you can pivot. And it's all about looking at what you have and seeing how it works on the market. And that's a key part of planning. Thank you for being here. Any last words, Mrs. Fede? Okay, so yes, so I'd like to say thank you to our team for planning this evening, and I hope you guys look forward to our next huddle, which is happening on March 19th. It's every 19th of every month, so we're gonna have some pretty interesting things coming up. So look out for our posts on social media. I will be posting our huddle this evening on YouTube. So follow our YouTube channel, follow our social media
Miranda,
channel. Yeah.
the minister is going to just give her remarks tonight and just let you all know that she's committed to ensuring the youth is on the forefront, okay?
Celebration. Celebration.
Hi, Miranda.
Hi, good night. How are you?
I'm good. That's Natalie.
Yes, good night, Minister.
How are you?
I'm good.
I just want to thank you all for the work that you're doing with our young people.
You're welcome.
As a government, we are committed to ensuring that the youth gets the support, the motivation, and guide them on the right way. So I believe the two of you there, I know Natalie more than Miranda, but I'm hoping that since you're on that program, that you have the best interest of the youth at heart. So I want to thank you, and I want to thank the young people on the program to tell them that they've got a government that is focused on putting them first.
Thank you so much.
So use all the opportunities that's presented to them to move themselves forward.
Thank you, Minister.
I like it.
Yes.
Okay, so let's continue youth economy and everything else.
Yes.
I know that some of our young people are making us proud. Let's continue to do so.
Yes. Yes. So I'd like to thank you, Minister. Yes, and I'm a mentor with the Youth Economy Agency actually. So I mentor young business professionals as well. So the Youth Economy Agency is great. It's well placed and it's actually helping our youth in getting the guidance that they need. And we see Startup Huddle doing the same. So where it comes to training in the things that youth economy can't bring onto the table, we're looking to push Startup Huddle to actually bring that to the table for the youth.
Okay, and as a Minister for Commerce, I'm looking forward to working with them as they graduate from young persons to more mature business persons. The ministry is standing ready to work with them.
Thank you so much.
Awesome. And you know, Minister,
have a blessed evening.
I'm always there for you to support as well.
Thank you very much. God bless.
God bless.
Thank you, everyone. We
Thank
have
you,
concluded our
man.
meeting. We heard the words from your
Thanks a lot.
minister. Don't forget, guys, there'll be big things coming. So follow Startup Huddle, follow SLPYO, follow the pages. Lots of updates. Follow the government of St. Lucia and the Ministry of Commerce. You just heard from
Yes.
your Minister of Commerce, Honorable Emma Hippolyte. Guys, this is good night, and I'm signing out. Thank you.
All right. Good night, everyone. Have a
Good night,
blessed evening.
everyone.
Have a
Good night.
blessed
Thank
week.
you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.